He yanked the HDMI cable right out of the laptop. The screen went black. The room fell silent. My presentation, the one I'd spent 3 months building, ended mid-sentence. "That's enough," he said, smirking. "Let someone competent talk." What if your biggest humiliation became your greatest victory? The audience of 30 executives froze, unsure if this was part of the act. It wasn't. He straightened his tie, stepped forward, and began explaining my work like he owned it. Every graph, every slide. He'd seen them all in our prep meetings. Now he was performing them like lines from a stolen script. I didn't interrupt. I just stepped aside, picked up my phone, and smiled. One new email, subject line, offer letter confirmed, $600,000 base. Perfect timing. I slipped the phone into my pocket and whispered, "You just made this even better." But what happens when the thief gets caught in his own trap? When I first met Paul, he was charming in that corporate caffeinated way. Loud, confident, impossible to ignore. He'd been my manager for 2 years. Always said we were a team. He called me the brain and himself the voice. I should have known then. People who call themselves the voice are usually full of noise. The first year, he was generous with credit, my reports, my strategies. He made sure my name was mentioned. By year 2, the mentions became rare. By year 3, they vanished. The day I realized it, we were at a board dinner. The CFO raised a toast to Paul's leadership on the Phoenix project. Paul raised his glass, too, smiled, and said, "Couldn't have done it without my team." He looked right at me as he said it. Not to me, at me. That's when I understood this wasn't partnership. It was positioning. The unraveling began quietly. He started scheduling meetings without me, forwarding client emails and replying before I could. Then he locked the shared drive. Said it was for efficiency. A week later, I saw one of my reports rewritten in his style sent to the CEO. I didn't confront him. I just watched because when you confront a thief, you warn him. And I wanted him unprepared. So I built my own folder encrypted offline. Every report, every idea, every timestamp, and one more thing, an internal audit file I'd started for myself. Proof of contribution, my safety net. The turning point came during performance reviews. He sat across from me, smiling like a poker player holding a royal flush. He said, "You're doing fine, but leadership thinks you're not quite ready for the next level." My next level, the promotion he promised me for 3 years. I nodded. Noted. Inside, something clicked. Not anger, precision. If the system was rigged, I'd stop playing by its rules. That night, I opened my contacts. A friend from grad school, now director of strategy at a rival firm, had messaged me months ago. "Ever think about moving? We could use someone like you." I replied, "Let's talk." Over the next 6 weeks, I orchestrated 2 lives. By day, I was Paul's loyal subordinate. By night, I was negotiating my escape. They asked for examples of my leadership. I sent them every project he took credit for with receipts, meeting notes, and version histories. When they asked about my availability, I said, "Soon." When they sent the offer, I said, "After one last presentation." And that's how we arrived here at the quarterly board meeting. Paul insisted on co-presenting, though we both knew what that meant. He'd let me talk just long enough to warm up the room, then swoop in and finish strong. It was his routine humiliation, his power trip. But today wasn't routine. He pulled the cable, took my spotlight, and strutted into his monologue. The executives watched him like a familiar show they no longer enjoyed. And I stood there calm, letting the silence after each sentence hang heavy. He thought I was embarrassed. I was timing his downfall. Halfway through, my phone buzzed again. The HR director from my new firm, board approved. "Can you start Monday?" I smiled. Timing indeed. When he finished his speech, he turned to me with that same smug grin. "Anything to add?" "Yes," I said. Actually, I stepped forward, reconnected the cable. My slides flickered back to life. The title read, Phoenix Project, Intellectual Property and Authorship Documentation. The first slide bore the company's legal watermark and metadata trail. Each document timestamped under my name. A murmur rippled through the room. The CEO frowned. "Paul, care to explain this?" He froze. His color drained. I stayed composed. I just wanted transparency. He tried to speak, but words betrayed him, stumbling, sweating, shrinking. The boardroom became his stage of exposure. By the time security escorted him out, the only sound was the hum of the projector. I packed my laptop quietly, checked my phone again, replied to HR, perfect timing. I'll take the position. $600,000. Fresh start. Justice served without raising my voice. As I left, Paul caught my eye through the glass wall, red-faced, trembling, ruined. I nodded once, not out of pity, out of closure. Because the best revenge isn't loud, it's perfectly timed.